Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I am a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris, and I am a delighted Gator fan.
And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. Today we're going to recap a slew of games from Week 6. Florida is victorious over Auburn at home. They're in homecoming. Florida State does take a bye week, and then we'll talk about how the rest of the teams fared around the state of Florida. But Chris, go ahead and dive in. Tell me what you saw from the Gators at home against the Auburn Tigers.
It was a couple of the Florida teams had a bye, but we had some really good games within the state of Florida this week. And the biggest one, obviously, was Florida and Auburn. Florida wins 24-13. This game was just a lot. I mean, one of the most hyped games that Florida has been involved with. I mean, you talk about, first off, CBS says, hey, you're the 3:30 game. Within the SEC, that's pretty good. And then Game Day says, hey, we're coming to your city, and you can cue the music right there.
Yeah.
It was homecoming. It was Auburn, a team that used to be a team that we played all the time. Every year from the West, but we don't get to play them as much now. We had our throwback uniforms, which I don't like change. I really like these uniforms. And then it was a huge day for recruiting. Like, we had a bunch of big-time recruits at that game. So just a lot surrounding the game itself. But it was an ugly game. It was an ugly game. It seemed like it was who could out ugly the other team, and thankfully Auburn was just a little bit uglier than us. One of my friends said that it looks like they were playing hot potato out there. Football. It was, nobody wanted it. It seemed like, but I'm delighted. I am pleased. I'm happy because the Gators come out with a win. A team it's the Auburn team who were looking pretty hot coming into the game. They beat Oregon earlier. They just beat Mississippi State handily, and maybe Mississippi State isn't that good looking back on it. But everyone was riding Auburn, and I get it. I understand. But the Gators were victorious so far. We're 2-0 versus Tigers, 2 out of the 3 in a row. So I'm happy. I'm happy for the win. It was ugly at times. It was ugly at a lot of times. But I'll take it. It's the first time beating Auburn since 2002, and we did that in overtime. They had won 3 in a row since then. Like I said, we don't play them every year now, especially now that Missouri and Texas A&M joined. We play them even less. So finally getting a win over them. They had a number the last few times, which is good. Bo Nix, their quarterback, his dad, Patrick, played for Auburn back in the 90s, and he ended the home winning streak in the Swamp. He beat Florida that year. And one of the bigger notes of the game is Kyle Trask leaving the game with what it looked like another Felipe Franks, end of your season injury, but turns out he was just out for a few minutes. He came back in and finish out the game for the Gators. So those are just the overall thoughts and just about the game. As far as the positives, we'll get to the positives, and then room for improvement. Normally I start with the offense, but you have to start with the defense.
Yep.
Because they came out and they bailed us out a lot. And they stopped an Auburn offense, which going into the game, like I said, was just on fire. And to hold them to 13 points I was impressed. I really was. And really those 13 points, our offense gave them those 13 points with the turnovers, Yeah. They slowed Auburn's running game down. Especially I was afraid their Nix being a mobile quarterback was going to hurt us more than it did, and it didn't. Auburn loves to give you some misdirection. Hey, look over here, while this guy's running over there. And our speed on defense, from the safeties to the linebackers to the ends, coming up on the edge and stopping that was really key. And they kind of got loose a little bit second half, had some runs there. But overall, shutting down their running game was so important because it forced Bo Nix to make plays, and he got rattled. He was not ready for that atmosphere, and we got to him, and that was key. I didn't know. I was doubtful that we could slow the running game down that much, but we did. A stat that sticks out: David Reese with 13 tackles as our linebacker. I think it's the second game he's had 13 or more tackles in a game, so that's real good.
Yeah.
No defensive penalties. No PIs, nothing, which is impressive. And especially coming from that Miami game, the beginning of the year, to now, that's a huge, huge stat.
That's a big observation. I knew the 4. I didn't know they were all on offense, though. Interesting.
Yeah. And overall, the tackling seems to be better. And then Sean Davis and Donovan Steiner with those key interceptions that really turned the game at 2 different points there. And offensively, what a great way to start the game with a long pass to Swain for a touchdown, just to get us ahead. I think we really needed to be ahead, and instead of playing from behind, And Swain himself, 164 yards receiving. That's more than all of Auburn had passing receiving. So he had a really great game. He has those games where he seems like he was uncoverable. I don't know if he was lining up against their 3rd and 4th, and that's why he had the matchups, but he did a great job. And P. Ryan finally had that long 88-yard touchdown run to really seal the deal for us. And that Gator fans and himself have just been waiting for this because this is what we know he can do. He just wasn't doing it. So I felt real good for him to get that. And Emory Jones coming in when Trask went down and led us down to a field goal and looked pretty solid during that time. So there's a lot to take from that. I know I spewed out a bunch of stuff. So what do you got to input here?
Yeah, all good stuff. I think the defense you can't underestimate them enough. 3 interceptions. They recover a fumble. They only allowed 145 passing yards. You alluded to how much that really amounts to. The crowd was just flat out ready for this, and I was very wrong about the Gators in this game. I thought that Auburn would come out and win by, probably about the same amount Florida actually win by. And it was clear that Bo Nix was just stifled and unprepared and couldn't hear because of the noise. And the Gators were ready for them in the offense, and so they stopped them a lot. So that was all very impressive. Just out on what you said, there were a couple of other things I'll wait on for the opportunities, but that was my biggest takeaway from this game. And then when Florida really needed to capitalize on turnovers, they did that. So they scored when it really mattered.
Yeah, they seem to be, I don't know if clutch is the right word, but whether it's offense or defense, sometimes special teams, when you need to make a play, someone's stepping up. And I really like that about this team. And the defense was holding. They bend, but they didn't really break. Those 13 points is coming off of turnovers, right? And so the defense is put in a tough spot, and we hold them to 2 field goals early on. We give up that long pass for a touchdown, but really Auburn did not earn one of those touchdowns. They didn't have a whole drive where they scored, So I think that was real key. Mm-hmm. And the one that they did, they went like 95 yards, and then they threw a pick in the end zone.
Right. Yeah. That was their best drive of the game. They would have taken the lead with that, but the Gators had something else to say about it.
Yeah, they were actually getting a run game going. They hit a long pass on a busted coverage, and then we rallied and got that pick. So I was really pleased with, especially on the defensive side of the ball, how we really, I want to say, dominated Auburn. I mean, sure. You see how many points that they can put up and the speed that they have. For them to really get 13 points, that says a lot for our defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. They did not earn their field position, and they didn't even take advantage of the one that they actually did. So, you're right.
Yeah. Now, as far as opportunities, you might want to just want to sit back and relax because I'm going to go off here. Turnovers, 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 turnovers. Turnovers, 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 turnovers.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Turnovers. Oh, by the way, turnovers. Goodness gracious. This frustrates me to no end. To no end, Brandon. I brought this up on the podcast before. Florida does this. We go down the field, score a touchdown, get the momentum, defensive stop, 3 and out. Second possession, third possession, turnover. And it just kills the momentum on offense. And there's so many times that we just every time on offense we get going, and just there you go. Here's the ball. We do not want it anymore. And I just don't know what it. I think a lot of it is the O line. They got a lot of work to do. And Trask, as good as he's been, one of the biggest knocks on him is the pocket awareness. You know, he just doesn't have that internal clock to know when to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And he fumbles the ball too much. Outside of that one quarter versus Tennessee, he hasn't really made any bad decisions throwing. He's just holding on to the ball too long and fumbling it. It's just killing us. The game really, if you watch, should not be that close if we do not just hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate that one of the fumbles the lineman picked up, the D lineman was going to take it for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He tripped over the 40-yard line. So it really could have hurt us real bad. We were fortunate it didn't. But yeah, man, I was so frustrated. Sometimes you start laughing to hold back the tears. I got to that point, man. It was bad. I did praise P. Ryan with that long run, but outside of that long run, our run's not good. Jones coming in helps a little bit. We had some from P. Ryan, but that running game, that's a stat that might be a little misleading. I mean, P. Ryan has 130 yards rushing, but 88 in one play.
Right.
So that's a little misleading, and I'm not getting too crazy. Like, our run game is back. No, we had that one long run, which is good. Speaking of running, I didn't like Trask running the ball after his injury.
Good point.
Why? I mean, I get the pass to him, the fake, because no one's expecting it, and it worked, and you catch it and fall down, right? But the running, like, why? If you want to do that, put Emory Jones in. We have a guy that's great at that, or just at that point in the game, run the ball, hand off to running back. There's no need for Trask to be running, especially seeing him go down like that.
Yeah.
The secondary played pretty good. We had 3 picks. We had some miscommunication. There's a couple of deep balls that we let go. One resulted in a touchdown. And that fake punt, what in the world is going on there?
Townsend going to town. I don't know.
Now Mullen in the press conference said that was on him, and he said that but he's like, hey, that's who we are. We're gonna call it again. Like,
wow,
get used to it. Like, this is who we are. Sometimes it's gonna work. Sometimes it's not gonna work. No, I don't know if it was a call. If Townsend has the green light, I don't know. But Mullen's like, yep, I'm gonna take that. One thing though that kind of was bad, but would turn out to be good, on the hit to Trask. I don't know if you heard going into the halftime interview, Mullen's like, yeah, it was a dirty play. But then, like, looking back, he was like, during his press conference, he's like, I don't know if dirty play was the right word, but so he kind of walked that back a little bit. And the guy who hit Trask at the end of the game was like talking to him afterwards.
I saw that part, yeah.
Which I appreciated.
Very cool, very classy.
Yeah. That's my thoughts on that. Anything else from you?
You literally took everything I had. The Townsend call on the punt, the inflated rushing yards when it really came on one carry. I guess the only thing to add was 4 sacks, and I think you kind of covered that with staying in the pocket too long. I don't know if that factored in the rushing yards, which may make it a little bit worse. So, maybe get some back there if you just negate those. But overall, I think that Florida knows who they are and they know the areas to focus on. Unfortunately, you do see some repeated mistakes, mainly with pocket presence, and we got to get Trask some better post-game interviews. This guy needs to know how to talk to the CBS Sports crew. This guy has like 1 or 2 word answers, and that ain't going to last long.
He went to the Bill Belichick school of interviews, man. He'll be great for the Patriots. Great for them.
Yeah, so it'll get there eventually, I guess. But
well, I think it really sticks out because of the quarterback before him, because not so much his interviews, but just his sideline demeanor and antics, if you will.
Right.
It's just night and day. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just because I think you have this guy like Franks, and now you have Trask. Is like, yeah, it's good. We played good.
And his head coach is different too. Like he'll chat you off, and he loves to chat.
Right, exactly. So. Real. That's a good point too. Mullen's like, where's the camera? Where's the microphone? Yeah. Oh yeah. And side note, like I said at the beginning of this, there's so much hype of this game. Like this is also coming off of a feature on HBO of the program too. So all eyes were on the Gators, and I'm so thankful that we won. So thankful.
Well, and also giving credit, just going back to last year, I think LSU was your homecoming, and it was a game you were also underdog in, and you win at home. And also that time, the program that win last year to me was even harder because Mullen is still very new. You're only a month or 5 weeks in to a new staff and a changeover, and you pull off a huge win like that. And then you do it again this year on homecoming again.
Right.
So just schedule LSU and the hardest teams for homecoming every year.
Yeah, sure.
That's the plan.
Yeah, it used to be like, no joke, Vanderbilt and I think maybe even Kentucky were like, you would rotate them every year. But now we've added like Missouri, although they've been whooping us.
Yeah,
but now we've been throwing LSU and now Auburn, making it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I also didn't realize it had been so long since you beat Auburn.
Yeah.
I remember that was your only loss in 06, and they beat you in 07 with Tebow.
Yeah, I think we went to Auburn sometime in between there, and they beat us. I think maybe Muschamp team.
Okay.
Can't remember. I think Jacoby Brissett was our quarterback.
No kidding.
Yeah, no. Does that name sound familiar?
It does. He's in the NFL now. Colts, Patriots. Yeah. I'm not sure where he hops around.
Colts. Yeah.
Okay.
Took luck spot, but after stopping at NC State.
NC State, yeah, that's the one I remembered him from more than the Gators.
Yeah.
Because he played FSU, I think, once.
Yeah. But. Yeah. So it had been a while, and like I said, the time that we did beat them was in the swamp in overtime. So they've kind of had our number recently, but it was good to get a win against them.
Awesome. Yeah. That's all from me though on that game.
All right. Cool.
Sweet. All right. Well, moving on. Florida State is off. I guess the only thing to report here is as of today, James Blackman has been announced as a starting quarterback, so he's taking the week off to kind of heal. But next week, and I don't know how far out, since our schedule is a little tougher, we are planning to play 2 quarterbacks. So Hornerbrook will get meaningful snaps as well.
Okay.
So that's really the only news that came out of the FSU's bye week. Moving on to the what do we do, Miami?
Yeah. Let's talk about this wild game. Goodness
I had to take my breath there for a second. I was like, I couldn't breathe after this game was over. I didn't know what I'd actually watched.
Yeah, it was a tale of like 5 games. Like there was so much going on. This was going on during, like I said off air, but this was going on during the Gator game, and I had it on my computer. And every time I glanced over there, the score was something crazier than it had been before. Or I was watching a crazy play unfold. Miami loses to Vautech at home, and you see the score. They lose by 7. But had you watched that first quarter, you thought they were going to be losing by 42.
Yeah.
The way that they were playing, and Williams he threw like 3 picks in the first quarter. And they were down as much as, I believe, 28-0 at one point.
Yeah.
And they switched to Perry. think they were down by 14 when they switched to him, and he seemed to rally them. And then the big names showed up. Jordan, the tight end, he had a big game. DJ Dallas, he had a monster game. Jeff Thomas had a monster game. Like the I guess the big three, if you will.
Sure.
For them, they put up numbers, and it looked like a totally different team. Unfortunately, they were down by 28 points when they started playing like this. And so they are down 28. They get new life. They're coming back. They go for two, so that the next time they score, they're going to be up by one, right? Except they missed the extra point. And just a microcosm of their season right there. And then Vatek goes down with like a minute left and scores to win.
Yep. And then you think it's over. Oh, no. So then Miami, they're going to go down, and you're like, okay, time's going to run out. And then the ref goes, the game is over, incomplete pass. And like, oh, hang on, let's cut away from this game and go to the next one. Only to go back and say, oh, by the way, they decided to add 1 second, and they still threw it incomplete. So you guys can go back to your Saturday. It
was funny, like right before they cut away, you hear the color commentator. He goes, "Oh wait," and then I'm like, "Yeah." And then they go, "Oh, by the way, they lost." I'm like, no, stay on that game.
Yeah.
What a wild game
it was, and I mean, this game had everything you wanted entertainment wise. Yeah. You have a huge comeback. You have a completed Hail Mary pass before the half.
Right.
You have a guy who was benched early in the year come in mid-season. Alabama knows all about that. Mm-hmm. They end up almost basically not running after this 28-0 deficit and just went off. I was waiting for a game like this to happen, and it finally happened, but at the wrong time.
Yeah.
What if this happened against the Gators?
Yeah, no joke.
They probably would have won that game. Who knows? They would have really, really put it to Central Michigan instead of squeaking out a 5-point win. Mm-hmm. Certainly could have beaten UNC if this offense had showed up. And I mean, the only thing you can hope is, okay, maybe finally you switch back to Perry and you found some answers. I mean, he did throw 4 touchdowns. But again, the circumstance was different. You let these guys loose. You literally had nothing to lose at that point. So
True.
They played very differently than they would in a tight game, I guess.
True. Yeah, you got to say, got to give a lot of credit to Virginia Tech's quarterback, Hooker.
Yeah.
His mobility really gave Miami fits, throwing 3 touchdowns and running for 1. He actually was their leading rusher during the game. I think he was definitely the difference and was giving them fits. But Vatek's defense, especially at first, they really just gave Miami a lot of trouble and put them into a huge hole. And like you said, man, if they had played at any different time of the game or season, the season would be different from them.
Yeah.
But hopefully they can take this momentum that they had into going on forward. But man, that was a really fun game. It really was.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who you root for. That was just a fun game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was wrong. I had Miami winning. I thought they would, but I didn't also predict 5 turnovers. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's tough, tough to win with turnovers.
Yes, it is. And the other thing I just keep noticing is, the defense for Miami's looked good. It's looked good, and then this game it looked pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also given up big plays in key spots. We've alluded to that when they played the Gators. The linebackers didn't stop people when they showed against UNC. They had weak moments. So it's just really hard to know who this team actually is.
Right.
And You kind of, if you're a Miami fan, you breathe a sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, at least we know we can score. Because up to this point, it looked pretty desolate.
Yeah.
But you just don't have all the pieces together, and your kicker, what the crap? Then you're like 1 week, okay, it's the offense. The next week is the defense. What issue is it going to be, tomorrow? Who knows?
Right. One thing is they have to fix that O-line. Start with that for sure. So do you think Perry's going to be quarterback going forward?
I really don't think you have a argument to not do that. Jaron Williams, it did exactly what N'Kosi Perry did almost all of last year when he got benched. So it's just the consistency isn't. But I mean, after all of that, he competed 28 of 47, 422 yards, and that was only in 3 quarters of play.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to play them, especially with the winnable schedule you have as Miami. You need to start him for at least the next month.
Yeah, I think you're going to lose a lot of fans if you don't.
That's a good point.
That's for sure. So they have to be high on him, you know.
Yep. So I was just laughing. I was like, "This is great. This is why I watch on Saturdays." And I never have a dog in the fight, but I'm okay. Miami lost, whatever. So they fall to 2-3 on the season, and I'm gonna have to reevaluate my ACC Wheel of Destiny. Remember that? Because I really thought Vatech and Georgia Tech were the worst 2 teams in the conference, and then Vatech does this. Georgia Tech's still the worst this year.
Okay.
Who's the worst in the SEC, by the way, in your opinion? Just curious.
Probably Vanderbilt.
Vandy. Okay. Not Arkansas or Tennessee?
It's Tennessee. I guess Tennessee's really bad, too. I'd still say Vandy.
I mean, Arkansas State. Was it Arkansas State? No. San Jose State beat Arkansas.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that.
Maybe it's a toss-up between those 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a real tough one, too.
Yeah. Vandy did squeak out a win against Northern Illinois, I believe it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And they put up like 20-something points against LSU.
Yes.
And they gave up 66, but
Yeah, they did. So that'll be interesting when the Gators get around to them. Is that later in the year, I guess?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
This Florida State-Miami game, I have no idea what to expect now. I really thought I knew this would be an easy win, but...
I think it's going to be another wild one.
Yeah.
Another wild one.
This is in Tallahassee. So, anyway. Any last thoughts on the Canes?
No, that's it. I guess there is one more thought. Like, some games are snoozers, but this was definitely not one of them. So, I'm glad I watched it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, moving on to another team that suffers a heartbreaking loss. That would be the UCF Knights going on the road to Cincinnati. This game was on Friday night, and the Knights lose by 4. Tough game, close game. Both defenses played really well, especially in the red zone. And I really thought, just like everyone else did, UCF comes back, they score their usual 30, they make this a game, they turn over Cincinnati, they do something, they start going off with wide receivers, and it never just quite caught on. And by the time they started rolling, it was too late. They were down. And Cincinnati did the right thing by, I think it was 4th and 1 late in the game, and they just, they're like, just go for it. And I was like, you go for it, you win the game if you're successful. And, the Knights lose by 4. What were some of your thoughts on that one?
You see the first time that Gabriel played like a freshman, and, I mean, maybe the Pitt game too, but really, throwing 3 picks is just not like him. And I think he fumbled the ball too, right?
It was like an exchange. Yeah, they lost a fumble deep in territory.
So that was just uncharacteristic of him too. And like you said, like I thought that they were going to, turn it on, and they never really did. And then, like with 3 minutes left, they scored a touchdown. It got really, really interesting, and a fun game. But I guess Gabriel just not. Playing like his normal self and playing like a freshman, and that pick 6 will really hurt him. Really hurt him.
It looked like all their. Go ahead.
I was saying, anytime you get a turnover that turns right into points for their team is crushing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just in general, the turnovers were deep in their own territory. So that fumble we mentioned, the pick 6 you mentioned, and then another one driving. I think it was the second half. They get in the red zone. They throw an interception on 3rd and inside the 20. On a drive they were clearly going to score on. And so you cost yourself points on all 3 of those, just in the same way kind of the points Auburn scored. And so those are just heartbreakers. Like if you fumble at midfield and then they go 3 and out, it's a totally different story. But these right here, it was basically 20 points given to them. Yeah.
So, I know that they had a streak going of consecutive games scoring 30 or more.
Yep.
How many? Do you happen to know how many that was?
I want to say it was like 30 games. I'm sure the UCF fans will correct us on that, but I was around that range. it definitely went all the way back, all of the 17 season, all of the 18 season, and then up until this game.
Okay.
So,
yeah, this is a crushing loss because it's a conference game.
and even worse, a division one.
The division, yeah.
So now it's
wow.
we have to hope that Cincinnati loses 2 games, or we're not even in the conference championship.
Yeah.
At this point. And the American, as it usually is pretty weak, so they're going to have to pray for some upsets, and obviously they're going to have to win the rest of their games too.
Yeah, I'm gonna look real quick and see who Cincy plays. Houston. That's
iffy.
At Memphis at the end of the year.
That's a tight one. Memphis still undefeated.
Yeah, Temple before that.
That's probably a win. They're going to be South Florida and UConn, and they're going to be East Carolina. Those are 3 guaranteed games. So you got to hope. Tulsa didn't look too bad against SMU, so maybe there's one there. So it's
at Houston, at Memphis. Oh, that Memphis game. Yeah, but yeah, we'll lose 2 of them though. So
right. And then since UCF still has to play Houston, and Tulane looks good this year. Everyone else looks like a pretty easy win for the Knights. South Florida, Temple, East Carolina. So it's going to shape up to be really, really intense with the American. It must be the first time in a long time there's actually a race in the American Conference to see who actually gets to the title game. Before it's just, UCF's there. Are they going to play Memphis again? Yeah, probably. Okay, great.
Right. I'm going to miss that potential Memphis-UCF matchup.
Yeah. Still not totally unreachable, but it's looking very, very unlikely. If you're UCF, your NY6 Bowl, hope they're gone.
Right.
And honestly, I dare you to look up the American Bowl tie-ins. They're pitiful. I think the best one is the Birmingham Bowl. And there's no pecking order. Like, you might get like a 6-6 SEC team with that one. That's it.
Yeah.
So NY6, it's really the game you have to hope for the American to make your money.
Right. That's a crushing loss then.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how they rebound. I think the thing that I've noticed the last 3 games, this goes back to the Pittsburgh loss too, is the rushing attack for UCF just hasn't been as potent as it was in the past. They've had to pass. They on the drives that they scored on, UCF fed Otis Anderson a lot more. But Adrian Killen's the fastest guy on the field, only gets 4 carries in this game. So I'm really curious as to why he's being limited.
Right.
And they have him on kickoff returns, which is likely to get an injury. So I'm kind of confused on how they're using him there. You heard the episode last week. They were talking about moving Brandon Wimbush over wide receiver, and I'm like, they have plenty. You just want to get the touches? Okay, fine. I guess I'm all right with that.
It's not the issue.
Right. But the 192 yards rushing looks good, but it's just not as potent and as forceful as it was before. You knew you could bust a long one, just like Pirine did. But Adrian Killen seems to be the only guy that can do that now versus Otis and Anderson. The other guys in the backfield just don't seem to be getting it done quite as much as they used to.
Right. Yeah, definitely not like the UCF we're used to seeing.
Yep. So they got a bye week to think about some things and get some strategery going forward. But any other final thoughts on the Knights' loss on the road?
No. They have a bye next week, right?
Yep.
This week, yeah. That's gonna always stinks when you lose right before a bye week. I mean,
yeah,
that's an extra week of just to think about it.
Yeah, that's tough. Yep. Okay, well, Florida Atlantic was off this week. Chris, tell me what you saw from FIU versus UMass.
FIU gets a huge win over UMass, 44-0. And I know it's UMass, but still, anytime, like I said before, and I'll say it again, anytime you shut anybody out, that is impressive, and it's really hard to do, so good for them. Morgan, 263 and 2 touchdowns. Jones, 20 carries for 115 yards and a touchdown, but also Maxwell had 61 yards and a touchdown. Story 278 yards rushing, 263 passing. Talk about balance. That's what you want to see there. Good luck defending that, for sure. And obviously the defense shutting UMass out. Also, they had a 90-yard punt return from Alexander. So not only offense and defense clicking, but special teams as well.
Wow. Yeah, man. They did turn over UMass 3 times and held the ball for 38 minutes on offense. That's the big reason why UMass didn't get a chance to score. Plus, they also went 1 of 13 on third down. So, Walt Bell's got a lot of work ahead of him, and I think he knows that. And as an independent, you have a different set of challenges with recruiting and with travel. This is about as far as you can get from home on the East Coast, from Massachusetts down to Miami. But yeah, this is a great win for FAU to get back on track. There's a La Tech game you think they should have won, but they got outmanned and outrushed against, and this is not going the way so far the Panthers would have expected. So let's just hope that this rolls into more wins going forward.
Yeah. And another stat, overall, UMass had 110, 120 yards total. So good for FIU, and hopefully they'll get back to the FIU that we saw last year, where they're winning most of their games.
Yeah, so they'll go back into conference play, I believe, next week. So pause up, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's all I had on that game as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then, oh man, our poor South Florida Bulls. Got to talk about them, don't we? However, a high note this time. Yeah. They are victorious. They beat UConn 48-22, and let's not assume they're back on track with this win. We know UConn is very, very bad. We also know Charlie Strong was already asked, hey, by the way, what do you think your job security is like? And he's like, I think we'll be fine. And this is kind of a statement game because I know I'm going to win 4 games this year. This is going to be probably the second one. I have to show the fans something to cheer for, and he did.
Right.
McLeod throws 3 touchdowns. You finally get the Cronkite of last year. Where has this been? 148 yards rushing? That's probably matches his entire season total. I'm not even joking with that. And he gets it all in one game. Plus, he caught 2 passes. So you started to see that, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly what they should have been doing all along. And it's sad to know they took a step backwards in accomplishing that.
Yeah, McLeod looked comfortable, not only passing but running as well. Had 62 yards and a touchdown, and fake field goal for a touchdown on the road. So pulling out all the stops.
All the stops. You stole the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. All the stops. Yep. So, yeah, good for them. They do throw the 2 picks, and, that's something you still got with a quarterback. I honestly don't know. McLeod looked okay in this one, but Barnett, overall top to bottom, seems to have the game composure, but he just didn't have the number to support it. Mm-hmm. So I just flip a coin. I'm like, who's going today, McLeod or Barnett? I know it's not good for team morale, and I know that probably his teammates like one over the other, but Barnett just hasn't panned out, and so I don't see a reason why not to give McLeod a shot the rest of the year.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, at this point, I mean, you as a coach have to know who's going to give your team the best chance to win. And right now, I think McLeod probably is. Yeah.
Yep. Until next week when he throws 3 picks and they pull him, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's something to look at. Gators, Noles, Knights. You're blessed with good quarterback, consistent play. You start to see some other teams around the school, and they're struggling. Miami and FIU had an injury to Morgan, so that's a little different. But FAU was kind of shaky at first. It kind of stabilized. South Florida has no stability, so. Count your blessings, and that's one of them.
Yeah, no joke.
All right. Well, I think that's all I have from week 6. Does that wrap it up for you as well?
Yep.
Well, it's time to look forward. My favorite time is the future.
Yeah, okay.
So, you got another Tiger coming to town. Excuse me. No, you're on the road. My bad.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Gators traveling to Baton Rouge in that matchup.
Yeah, we got a 3rd Tiger in a row. We go to Louisiana State University.
Ew, don't say that. Gross.
Just they will get no respect from me. Especially this week. No, we get a night game in Death Valley. Game day is going to be there again, so that's our 3rd game this year where We're featured at game day, which is great for our program. We're getting an LSU team that is just scoring over 50 points a game. So that's not good. I think one of the big reasons that we won last week was the atmosphere in the swamp. We don't have that this week. When we go to LSU, I'm very curious to see how we respond. Like how we come out on the road. We're a 13.5-point underdog. Even with an impressive win like we had, we're still down by 2 touchdowns. They've scored over 50 a game, but we'll only allow 9.5 a game. So I understand that 2 of those are FCS opponents. I get that.
Sure.
But so it's definitely that's going to be the key matchup there. Obviously, how good is our defense going to match up against their offense? Burrow's only threw 3 interceptions on the season. Their receivers are talented. Different LSU team that we're used to seeing. They just run. But now they like to pass it and spread it out a little bit there. Things that we do have going for us for sure is we're getting healthier. Now, Jabari Zuniga did not play in the Auburn game, but definitely is going to be playing in this game.
Okay.
He was Mullen said, hey, he was about 80%, but we were going to hold him if we could this game, the Auburn game, and have him ready 100% for LSU. It looks like LSU has some defensive players that are banged up. So that's the plus. I'm a little worried about Trask's knee going there. He had an MCL sprain, and he looked a little ginger second half against Auburn. So I'm a little worried about his knee. I would expect to see more Emory Jones. But every time I say that, I see less Emory Jones. So I don't know. We have to figure out our running game. P. Ryan had that long run, made a great play, but overall, we got to figure out what to do with the running game. I say put more Jones in there, give it another option. We don't know about Pierce, if he's going to be able to play after his concussion. Malik Davis looked pretty decent. So maybe get some, I would say try to maybe run on the edge a little bit more, maybe some sweeps. I don't think Kadarius Toney will be there yet because just running up the middle has not worked overall for us. But I do like Trask. He seems like a guy that doesn't buckle under pressure. So I like him going into Death Valley. And I like our defense. They're playing really good right now. I would expect a lot of blitzing of Burrow and letting our corners work one-on-one. Having Henderson back, having Henderson and Marco Wilson back at the same time is huge for us. This was a tough one for me. I think that I like our chances better now, but I don't know if I'm ready to pull the trigger on Gators winning this one.
Okay, I can understand that. I know that for certain LSU just will not throw as much as they have against everyone else this year. Florida's secondary they flat out won't allow it, and they're going to probably cause at least one interception, I'm going to guess, with as much as they like to throw and air it out. But I've seen the wide receivers go up, and they've had an easiest schedule so far. I think they did play a couple of SEC games, but they weren't high-tier opponents like Florida. So that's one thing that I'm going to completely agree with you on is the secondary for the Gators just won't allow them to go up and down the field. At least I would be very, very surprised if they do. Mm-hmm. You're right with some guys getting healthy. Trask a little bit dinged up. But the benefit with running Emory Jones as much as you have to this point is you have a little bit of flexibility there. Not the Spurrier days where you switch in a quarterback every play, but you can let hey, he's getting 2 series per half or something to throw a wrinkle in. But yeah, it's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. LSU, that is probably one of the toughest environments in the nation. So I don't envy you guys at all.
Yeah, I think we need to. There's a couple things that we would need to do. Is I'd get up on them early. Somehow not turn the ball over. And I say somehow because I don't know if we know how to do that. Figure out some kind of way to run, whether maybe it's just screen them, throw bubble screens all day long and force turnovers for sure. As far as score, I'm going to go LSU 31, Florida 27.
LSU by 4. Okay. Yeah, they're not going to score 50. I'll take 35-24 LSU.
Okay.
I think the 24 for Florida, I'm not so certain about that. Like maybe 20, 21, but I'll give them 24 because they've shown me a little bit more. And hey, why should you listen to me? I thought Auburn was going to win by 14, so.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, prior to Auburn, I was like, there's just no way they're going to blow us out. Now I feel a little bit better. I just don't know if I think it's the on the road night game LSU. I don't know if we can go enough.
Yeah.
But they might prove me wrong. Dan Mullen's a really good coach. We have a lot of good talent. And he likes he can scheme up. If anyone can, he can scheme it up. Offense, maybe keep the ball away from Joe Burrow as much as possible, ball control game, figure out some kind of game plan to negate that. So I think it's possible. Prior to last week, I'd say 0% chance. I think we have a good chance now, a better chance, I should say. I just don't know if it's going to be enough.
Yeah, and like you said, getting up early. I mean, that's something Mullen, kind of his calling card. Last year when you guys played Georgia in Jacksonville, there was a play early in the game that would have done that, except it was overthrown by Felipe Franks, and then you scored in 2 plays, was it, against Auburn to go up early, and that's not the first time this season you've done it. I think you did it against Tennessee as well. So I expect that. I actually expect Florida to get up 3-0, 7-0 in the first 2 drives. It's just how they handle it from there and how LSU, and if you go down, you stop them, some kind of freak pick off, and then you're up 14-0 at LSU. How do they respond? That'd be very, very interesting to see. Yeah,
if LSU is scoring in say 24 or more, I don't see us winning that game. If LSU scores less than 20, I really like our chances. That's what we have to, that 20 mark, I guess. Keep them under that, and I think we have a good chance of winning that game. But I don't think we will, though. I just don't see enough. I see improvement, and I'm better, but the O-line play, the turnovers, lack of running game, that's just, I don't know if it's enough for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting to see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys are on the road playing a Tiger. So are we. We're on the road at Clemson, the other Death Valley.
Yeah.
Playing the Tigers as well. Just like I did preseason, I really think Clemson wins this one pretty comfortably. What I think some things Florida State fans should expect is the offense will not look as good as it has the rest of the year because our O-line is already starting to show signs of inability and not being able to block, not being able to hold for a couple of seconds. And it's going to only be exaggerated in this game when you're on the road and their defensive line is the best one you've played all season. Now, it's not last year's defensive line where all 4 of these guys are starting in the NFL now, but still Clemson and Brent Venables' calendar defensive line. So enough to be intimidating. The other thing that works against Florida State is that Clemson's one bad game of the year. They already played last weekend against UNC. Why couldn't that have been this one? I guess they just kind of cruised through UNC to get to their bye week, and now there's just no way they're going to let Florida State come home and get past them. I just don't see it happening. So I'm assuming that this one is not going to be as bad as last year. I think it was 59-10 last season, and we lost composure, started throwing punches. I really don't see that happening again, although personal fouls have been a problem in the fourth quarter for the Noles. Score-wise, I don't know. This just pains me to predict because I think they're favored by 28 or something like that right now. And it's possible Florida State only scores 17, 20 points in this game. So maybe Clemson 41-20?
41-20.
That's probably being generous, I admit.
Okay. Yeah, you hit the point. I was going to say is that all the good teams have that one bad game, and they wasted it on UNC. And then the top that, they have a bye week themselves.
Right.
So I just don't see Dabo letting them, do this again. I think it's going to be closer than it should be, just because of Florida State's offense is pretty decent.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're going to hang with them. I don't see that. I might even have Florida State to cover. I mean, to get under the spread there.
Okay. I think I added doing that too. It just depends.
Yeah. I don't know the score. I could see Florida State scoring 21 on them, but I could see Clemson 38.
Okay.
Maybe 21-38.
We're looking pretty close. So you're thinking maybe 17. I was saying maybe 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's very possible, and the ways that they do that is they constantly push the tempo. They make Clemson get gassed. They keep Akers running. I mean, even if you have to go to him 28 times a game, I kind of said last week, I'm not a huge fan of that. But if it's working, don't stop, especially not this week. You had 10 different guys catch a pass last week. Keep that up. There's no way they can defend them all. But also when you're putting the ball in the air that much, they're going to pick one off. So you have to kind of balance that. The atmosphere is going to be raucous.
Nuts. Yeah.
They love to play us and they love to beat us. So it's just not going to go well. And I would love for Florida State to pull an upset. And the way they're going to do this is enforcing Clemson into turnovers as well. Matching something to what UNC did. Look at some Syracuse tape from the last 2 seasons. See what those teams did. And see if you can kind of duplicate it. But don't waste all of your energy trying to win this game because you know they have the athletes probably just to run the ball. And Etienne and Lawrence, when they get going, it can get ugly fast.
Yeah. I could see them coming out and playing a good first quarter, close first quarter. I just don't see them doing a whole – Florida State struggles playing 4 quarters.
Yep.
I just don't see them doing that with Clemson. And I just don't see Dabo letting them mess around with a lesser team again.
Yep.
So the receivers against Clemson's receivers against Florida State's D-backs is a huge mismatch there too.
Yes, good point.
So you really need Clemson to give the ball over a lot. I just don't see them doing that, especially off a bye and a close win. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this is your chance, Noles. Impress me.
Yep.
Okay. So moving on down to Miami, got a Friday night game. Coral Gables. Yeah, playing Virginia. What do you think happens there?
You got to have some frustration, yet some hope against Miami. With Miami, you have to go, like we said earlier, N'Kosi Perry has to be your quarterback. I think Miami plays them tough. I really do. I don't know if they can stop that mobile quarterback, Perkins, enough. If you're Miami, throw it to Jordan and run DJ Dallas like 20-something times. Go to what you know works on offense. If you're Perry, hey, Jeff Thomas, are you open? No. Jordan, are you open? No. I'm going to check down to Dallas. That's it. That's it, Defense can force some turnovers. If you can contain Perkins and his scrambling ability, you have a chance to win. I don't think they do, though. I think they're going to lose in a close one. I think it's going to be a wild one, but maybe like Virginia by 7.
Okay. I like that, and I'm going to stick with Virginia probably the rest of the season. I think they are God, I never thought I'd say this. They're the most likely team to go to the Orange Bowl this season out of the ACC. Probably a 9-win team. Only loss this season so far is Notre Dame. Good win over Pittsburgh and a good win over Florida State. Both middle-of-the-road ACC squads. So you face another team, can you keep that going? And actually, until I saw Miami show some life on offense, I thought Virginia would run away with this one and win by multiple scores. But I think this will actually be very close. Virginia does come off of a bye week, so
yeah, I have that
factors in. And it's a Friday, so Miami has one less day of rest. I don't know how much that's really going to factor in both ways. But because of that reason, mainly, I'm going to give Virginia a 4-point victory. I'll say 28-24.
Okay. There is no, as of right now, I guess the spread is a push, but I don't see one.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like, or +1 for Miami.
Yeah.
On some boards. That is very interesting to me, and I wonder what they know that I don't.
Right. I mean, I guess playing a Friday night on the road is normally tough, but like you said, Virginia coming off a bye, I don't see it.
Yeah. But I think I agree with you. Miami plays probably some entertaining games the rest of the year.
Yeah. Just who they're going to be.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so both taking Virginia there. Got it. UCF has the week off, so they're going to take a bye. And let's see. We'll let you talk about the Lane train again. Going back home, Florida Atlantic playing Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, they coming off a bye, and Middle Tennessee not looking that great, and FAU starting to get some momentum, especially on offense, finding out who their running back is. Tight end's pretty good tight end. Yeah, I would say FAU should handle them, maybe by like 17 points. I think the spread's 10, but I'm really liking the way that FAU is starting to play and coming off that bye and at home. A lot of good things going for them for this game.
Yeah, and just for the Blue Raiders, I don't see a lot of good things so far. I mean, they've actually scheduled some really tough teams. They went, I think it was at Michigan and at Iowa, two big teams.
Yeah.
So they're definitely challenging themselves.
yeah, and they played Duke too. I mean, not a great team, but the ACC, you know.
Right. But just top to bottom, I just think Florida Atlantic has really hit their stride the last 3 weeks, and so I don't see any reason why offensively they can't get it done. Harrison Bryant and their other tight end, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's getting involved too. So until you had McCammon going, is that McCammon, right? Until they got him going, it was like, let's just pass over the middle, and that eventually opened up the running game, and now they're doing really well. So
right.
I agree. I'm going to take the Owls to win this one too.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. All right. And then we'll talk about, we'll go back to the South Florida Bowl, see what Charlie Strong has this week. Feeling pretty good about himself, coming off of a victory. He does go back home. So in Tampa, they're going to host the BYU Cougars.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an interesting one. I really can't get a good read on BYU. I don't know who they are. Are they the team that beat USC and Tennessee? Or are they the team that played really well against Utah but lost? Are they the team that lost to Toledo? I don't know. We do know South Florida struggles to move the ball. Inconsistent quarterback play. But you have key players. We didn't mention Felix and their tight end. And once they get going, they actually could be pretty decent at moving the ball. It's just been turnovers or inopportune sacks or not converting fourth downs or just bad special teams that just have cost them chances to win. And I really kind of wanted to take South Florida to win this game, actually. And I would not be surprised if they do that. But I am going to still take BYU. I'm kind of partial to them. Another independent squad. Playing another Florida school, kind of interesting twist here, but I think the Cougars will probably still get it done in Tampa. But as you can tell, I'm not very confident in that.
Yeah, I mean, South Florida's they won, but it was against UConn, who is not good.
Right.
They do. It is at home, and this BYU team started off pretty good. Now they're backpedaling a little bit. I don't know either. I really don't know which way to go. My gut says BYU, though, so I'm going to go with them. Because good for South Florida getting a win, but versus that opponent, I don't have enough credit with me yet. So even though BYU has struggled the last two games, they've played some tough teams, so a lot tougher teams than South Florida for sure. So I think that's going to help them and get the victory.
Okay. Well, I think, let's see, we both had LSU, both had Clemson, BYU, Virginia, Florida Atlantic, and so far BYU. So that leaves us now with FIU hosting Charlotte.
We might be split on this one. Maybe.
Think so? Okay.
Well, no. Let's see. They night game against Charlotte. FIU last game looked pretty good, and they looked pretty good against Louisiana Tech as well. Charlotte game, they lost FAU, and they had the pleasure of getting thumped by Clemson. I'll go with the Panthers at home.
Panthers at home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not confident in it, but I'm going to go with them.
You're right. We are splitting this one. I'm going to take Charlotte. I'm going to take the 49ers.
Figured you would.
They did play really good game against FAU, and they were rolling pretty well against like the UMass, the Garner-Webbs early on, and they did play App State decently. They lost by like 14. App State, by the way, still undefeated, FYI.
Yep.
Excuse me. And I don't think FIU has the defense to stop them like the Owls did. So we've already had a chance to look at Charlotte, and as long as you get Billy May, and Reynolds, their quarterback, going like they struggled to do, then I think they're going to be fine, and they come off of a bye week. So I'm going to take the Charlotte 49ers.
Oh, you're really making my pick look worse and worse. You're making some really good points there. But I'm going to
yeah, well, it's still going to be tough.
Just for the fun of it, yeah. Just for the fun of it, to be different. Going FIU.
I think on the season you're a couple of games ahead of me, so this is my chance to maybe draw even.
Okay, good.
A quick reminder about that, fans. If you ever, I forgot who they picked. Every Friday, we're going to post these on Instagram, so you guys can be reminded of who we picked for each week.
Yeah. So. And then encourage you to join in on that, too. Yeah,
give us a follow, Florida Focus Pod. And real quickly, the other way people can reach out to us, as we know and we say every week, www.floridafocuspodcast.com, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that wraps up week 7. I'm excited about. This will be the midway point for most people. So,
yeah,
I think everybody have 6 games under the belt. We really know who is who.
So I know I'm putting you on the spot and myself as well.
Okay.
So saying it's the mid season, let's go down real quick. And give us mid-season grades for each team in Florida.
Grades. I'm going to give...
We'll work our way up. We'll work our way from FIU up to the big 3.
Like through the bottom person. Okay.
Yeah.
Compared to their schedules and expectations preseason, I'm going to go FIU C+.
I was going to say C+, C-, like C something.
Okay.
So we'll go C+. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty fair.
That's a good, yeah. FAU, C-, maybe C+. I don't know, about the same.
I was gonna go B-, C+.
Okay.
Now they've turned it around ever since their first 3 games. They looked pretty bad, but then when they beat Charlotte, to me that's what sold it. I'm not a Charlotte fan. I'm just saying, they're just. They're a pretty decent conference team, is all. But they look competent again, and they look comfortable. So that's why I go the B-, C+ range.
Okay. Let's see. USF.
D.
Yeah, I would say D-.
Yeah, they're close to failing altogether, and so
yeah,
it's pretty bad. The only good win was UConn, and that's how are you defining good at that point?
Right. Okay, so UCF.
Ooh, this is a good question. I mean, you could spin it really negative and say UCF is 3-3 their last 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not a good picture of what they've been and who they are. So right. I'm still going to give them a B+.
Okay.
I would almost give them an A- because the 2 teams they lost to were really good.
Right.
Wow, Pitt's that's stretching it. But I just can't. So I'll give them a B+ here.
Yeah, and you factor in. Do you factor in last year or the expectations of this year, or do you throw in, okay, we understand that you have a freshman and all this stuff? So,
yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'd say B something. So okay,
B something. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. All right. So where are we at? Miami.
Oh, C.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tease it higher by saying they've won. Well, they haven't won any good games yet. Never mind.
See, we're taking it back, reel it back. All right, go. FSU.
I'm gonna go B-. I know I'm probably being hard on them and could go C+. Their defense underperformed, but did look good against Cincy State. So you did hold a team to 13 points. Looks like some guys actually know what assignments they have in the 3-4 now. And then just around that time, you're going to probably switch to a 4-3 based on who you play. But the offense has surprised. And so that's why I would probably tease it. So, and honestly, I can't be too hard on them. I knew they lose to Virginia. Boise State was a toss-up, but they do lose at home. I'll go B-, which is like an 80.
Okay.
That's being a little generous. You could probably more justify like a 78, 76, but I'll go 80.
Okay.
That's a homer swing, I guess, is what you can call that.
Right.
What do you think?
Who's the second team they played? They almost
Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Oh,
that might knock
that's
it
a
down
good point.
A
That's a good reason to swing at a C+. But they look different now. So
yeah.
Somewhere in that 76 to 80 range, that's pretty fair.
Okay.
All
right, and the Gators.
A. Gotta give them an A. They're looking good. They beat a top 10 team. They're still undefeated going into the middle of October. And, they have a good game plan. They have their struggles like every team does. But they've impressed me so far, actually. 10 games in a row they've won going back to last season.
Yeah. I'm going to say A- because of turnovers.
Okay.
It came back. We're back, folks. Turnovers.
Yeah.
That's why you get the A-.
That's the one reason you would knock it down for sure. And that's why they can't get a higher grade. But they'll iron it out, I'm sure. Chris, you're cracking me up.
Now, I will say I think they lead the nation in turnovers, like defense, like causing the turnovers, which is great. But man, sorry, I'm getting a little frustrated.
That's okay. You should. That's a thing that they need to fix, and now.
Yeah.
Or like last week.
Yeah, for real.
So, all right, that was good fun. We'll do that in a couple weeks. That should kind of test our grades to see how they are progressing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, well, we mentioned our website. The other thing I wanted to mention to our fans community is any kind of feedback. The reviews on Apple iTunes or whatever, those are just social proof to us. We don't need that. But it would help us improve the show if you want to give feedback there. So you go right ahead, and it makes us feel better. Warm fuzzies. But anything else to add, Chris, before we sign off for the night?
No, we're if you want to either email us or whatever social media sites, let us know what would you give your team's grade so far. If you want to grade all of them, let us know what you think it is. And on Instagram on Fridays, let us know who you have, who you're picking for the games, because you get to see who we pick as well.
Yeah, Fun Pick Fridays.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that.
Fun
Pick Friday.
Let's trade
copyright that. Yeah,
I'm gonna call my lawyer right now.
Let me call my copyright guy.
Fun Picks Friday. Fridays. Awesome. Well, Chris, thanks for having a good, fun conversation as we do every week. This is Brandon saying, "Go Noles."
Go Gators.